Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Nuance Needed podcast. I'm Amanda.
And this is Sam.
And we are going to talk today about Taylor, Frankie, Paul. We are recording this on Sunday, March 22nd, which feels important to say because this is a fast-moving story.
Yeah.
Where every day matters.
Every day something new is coming out. I also recorded an episode with Kate Kennedy for the Be There in 5 podcast on the 17th.
Yeah. The day before the Bachelorette was pulled.
Yes. So it feels like there's been about 5 lives that have occurred since that recording. So that's why Amanda and I decided to do it here as well.
And if you're just joining us, we are therapists who break down pop culture and internet culture and the oversimplification of things. And Secret Lives of Mormon Wives is very not important to us, but it's in our lane a lot because of all of the levels of trauma. And also Sam used to be Mormon, and she's got, she helps people with faith transition. So Sam really knows the ins and outs as a therapist, personally and professionally.
Yeah, this is kind of my Super Bowl. I think if we bring everything together that I have experienced in my life and things that I work on, there's a lot to sort through.
And you used to live in Utah, too.
So
you basically went to some of the same spots.
Like anytime, like the Draper City Police.
Yes.
I spent many hours in Draper of my life. And just, it's such a weird, because I think if you've never been to Salt Lake City, Utah, it's a really fascinating, I've never been anywhere like it in that it's the only place I've ever been that at any given point you can see everywhere.
Oh.
That's like the only way I can describe it because it's a valley, right?
Oh, yes.
So,
because I was like, is it flat? That doesn't make sense.
No. So it's a valley. So you have like the Wasatch Range to the east, and then you have the Uintas going west. And it's just, I might have gotten that wrong, but I don't care. Regardless, it's a valley. And the only way I can describe it is like, it is almost impossible to get lost. Because like at any given point, you know exactly where the mountains are.
Yeah.
And then even at certain points, like you could stand somewhere and you can almost like see the entire valley.
Well, isn't also the church like in the middle?
So church headquarters is in Salt Lake City. It's in downtown.
Because I saw a shot of Secret Lives, and there's like a road leading to it with houses all along the road, like leading
so
to the
temples,
church.
Temples are in neighborhoods.
Or sorry, the temple.
Yeah. So that the temple in the opening shot is literally like a 4-minute drive from my cousin's house.
Yeah.
Like I know exactly where it is. And I lived kind of up in what they call the benches, which is like the side of a mountain. That was the last place I lived before I left. And I could, from my porch, I would have been able to see like 7 temples, their spires. And like I knew where everything was. So it's a weird place, and it's very small. The joke is that it's called Small Lake City, that like everybody kind of knows everybody because of the Mormon church and all of those social connections. It's a really fascinating, unsettling place.
I think where we should start is probably with Taylor, Frankie, Paul before getting into like details of the season and stuff like that. Taylor, Frankie, Paul, opens Secret Lives of Mormon Wives season 1 with body cam footage of her and Dakota getting an aggravated assault charge. In February 2023, there was a big altercation between her and Dakota. We know this we got the body cam footage outside the house. That's what started Secret Lives of Mormon Wives episode 1. During it, she allegedly threw items, and she pled guilty in August of 2023 to a 3rd-degree felony charge of aggravated assault. So she is currently on probation with like the potential for the charge to be reduced to a misdemeanor. And then what we know is, in 2026, there was a new domestic assault investigation that happened. and Dakota got a protective order in place. As of today, it seems like he has temporary custody. But what is funny, like the people that are sort of like defending ABC and stuff, is that like ABC is basically on record for saying that they pulled it not because of the new charges, but because of the video. Like I have a quote here that says, like literally, this is from The Bachelorette. It says, in light of the newly released video that surfaced today, we have made the decision to not move forward with the new season of The Bachelorette at this time, and our focus is on supporting the family. So it is because the video was leaked. Obviously, I think it's worse because there's a new assault charge and we don't know what that is. And to be extremely clear, we are not supporting domestic violence, children being harmed. I do have such an issue with, and I'm interested in your take, Sam, ABC pretending like they're being this hero by pulling it off the air, acting like they didn't know is complete bullshit. This has been public for 3 years at this point. I don't know. Do you think Dakota leaked the video?
I think he did. What would behoove TMZ to dig that up on their own? It just like, why? If they really cared about it, they would have done that in 2023 when the show started. That was given to them. And I think Dakota is an absolute trash panda piece of shit. Like, truly. Like, I think he is a reprehensible human. I think he is so manipulative and doesn't want her to be successful.
No.
He has no interest in her being successful. I think he sabotages her at every turn. I think he knows exactly how to prey on her weaknesses and her insecurities. And in Kate's podcast, I talked about how, like, I broke down like the toxicity of codependency. They are in this enmeshed codependent relationship. What I said was, in a codependent relationship, the key feature of it is you both emotionally regulate each other. There's a very specific level of soothing that you each give to each other's anxieties and insecurities. And when you get into that type of dynamic where there's that enmeshment, it becomes like, if you're happy, I'm happy. If you're unhappy, I'm unhappy. And you feed off of each other. And what becomes particularly sick is that there is something unique about that person's co-regulation with you that you can't get with anybody else. It feels like they very uniquely soothe something in you or validate something in you. And obviously this is different from like situation to situation. But I think with a Dakota and a Taylor situation, where this becomes problematic is for a guy like Dakota, for him to feel that Taylor is superseding him and going past him. That would be incredibly triggering to that codependent dynamic because he realizes he could lose her. Like, fully. Even if like deep down he would say like, I hate her, I want nothing to do with her, she, you know, whatever. His toxicity doesn't care, because if he realizes she's out of reach, he doesn't know how to cope with that. So he has to do something to cut her down to size. And she has done no work to figure out how to regulate herself through that distress of realizing she is officially letting him go and getting rid of him. And so when he cuts her down to size, she engages with that behavior. And also, the whole reason we're here, the whole reason any of these women really have a career in this way is because Taylor utilized her reactivity to cope with the swinging scandal.
Correct.
Instead of keeping it as a private matter that was going to be hashed out between 4 adults, she took it to TikTok and blasted it all over Kingdom Come because she needed that validation from people. And that is like the tragedy of all this. And now I want to say, in me explaining this with Dakota, this is not an excuse for either of them. I think either of them are broken people who have not sought help in any meaningful way, at least that we can see from based on their behavior, that would tell me they have dealt with anything that they've been through in the last 5 years. And I think their lives in general. What I found particularly reprehensible about the video, and Amanda, I want to know your thoughts on this. As a therapist who has had experience with domestic violence, and speaking to victims of domestic violence, whenever there's a recording, I really struggle with it because I'm like, well, what happened leading up to the start of the recording? Now, again, this is not me dismissing Taylor because she very easily could have called the cops, had him removed from her house. She could have left. She could have taken her daughter, got in the car, and driven away regardless of what he was doing.
And we don't know what the new charges are.
Yes, we don't know what the new charges are.
Which could come out when this episode airs, and then we'll...
Yeah, and then we'll circle back and figure it out. However, that video to me, with how angry she is in that video, and just this seeming unhinged, unmoored to reality reaction, I cannot help but think to myself, what in the hell was this dude doing to her and saying to her and goading her into being that mad? And I think that's the toxic cluster that they're both trapped in. Tell me, what do you think?
I think the other problem that I really had when I watched the video is, why were you so keen on capturing a video? It just felt manipulative, the way that it's like, if you're concerned that she's going to hurt you, if you're concerned about her child, and I'm trying to check myself and be like, would I say this if a woman recorded this? But I do feel like if someone is becoming violent, regardless of whether that's your child or not, the first thing you should do is pick up the child and get out of the house and lock the door. Right. And then if you need to record her outside. Like, I don't know. It just feels like, why are you, like, you're not able to defend yourself when you're, like, holding a phone. And I'm not saying defend yourself as in, like, hit back, but, like, literally just, like, push someone off, get space, whatever. It just feels like all of this he is framing this sort of, and other people, I think like ABC and other people are being like, we're just worried about the child. And it's just like, if you were worried about the child, you would have picked the child up and moved. Right. You wouldn't have recorded her throwing a chair that you knew could possibly hit the child. I mean, I don't know what happened before or after. There's sleuths online trying to do the timeline, and I feel not connected towards it because I've never been involved in anything like this, but like I firsthand, when I was in my addiction, used to feel like, do I have borderline personality disorder? Because I would get into, I never was like violent, but I would get into these like toxic relationships too that I felt like I couldn't, no one liked me enough to like continue to pursue. So no one was coming back because they were healthier. Yeah. But I get this like addictive quality of it. And I think especially when you mix alcohol into the equation and who knows what else, and their lack of, I think there's so much we can dive into about their like lack of experience, the immaturity, the need to, to grow up, the pressure to have children and get married so young, and then you don't have any time to figure yourself out. And I think the meme is funny online. That's like, how much of this could be solved by drinking in college and letting loose.
If they had just gone to the club, none of this would be happening.
Yeah. So it's just hard with all of that. But yeah, my point is, I think that a lot of this can kind of like also just, if you've never been in that, it's so easy to be like, just break up, just don't get back together. And it's just so complicated on so many levels.
Absolutely. And I think what I find reprehensible with the Dakota thing is this video was very clearly blackmail. I think so too.
I mean, I know people online were like, this video already existed. I forget. Some
right, but it existed.
Were telling me a different idea.
It existed as evidence and part of an investigation.
Right.
That is a totally different scenario than saying like she had posted it or he had posted it at the time. Like, it just feels so uniquely convenient that it came out now. And again, this is not me saying what happened in the video is okay. What happened in the video is horrific. And it speaks to my thesis that I will stand on, that I have had since the beginning of this show, that none of these people are well enough to sustain an actual legitimate reality TV show brand.
Absolutely.
None of them.
Absolutely. Well, can we talk really quick about also like because what's really unique also about Secret Lives of Mormon Wives is they don't ever stop filming.
No.
Compared to Real Housewives, they film for a few months, I don't know how long, then they take a break, they do a reunion, and then they come back. And don't get me wrong, it makes for fascinating TV to see what happened the day before the reunion, to watch the reunion and then watch the episode about the reunion is very fascinating to see all of that. But I mean, if you look at these girls who so the charges happened in 2023, like the past 3 years, they've just basically been filming nonstop. I guess maybe even less than that. I think like 2 years, 2.5.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
And no breaks while doing all of these brand deals, while some of them are on Dancing with the Stars, writing books, having babies. Like there is no breaks for them at all. And the level of it makes me scared that almost I feel like they don't want to stop filming, the producers, because I feel like if the girls had a moment to sit back and process what's happening, they would be like, we need to change this, or we need to pull back, or we need to look at what we're doing. And it just feels like it's been so nonstop. No one has had a moment to understand what they're even doing, honestly.
No. And I think this pause in filming over the last week, I think that's what this moment is.
Yeah.
Because I think it might have been, was it Macy? No.
I think it was Michaela.
I think Michaela came out and said, no, we made this decision as a group and we decided like it didn't feel right to be filming. And I'm like, this is like the first evolved, mature sounding decision that has occurred. And how can you not start to be reflective of what this show is when you're in it, when now 2 marriages have fallen apart? I would argue there's a couple hanging by a thread.
Yeah.
There's the impetus of this entire show is having a meltdown constantly and is trapped in one of the most horrifically toxic relationships I've ever seen on TV. How can you not look at it collectively and say something is rotten at this core? Because the other thing I find fascinating is Whitney is really the only one that's fully broken away, and she's doing the best.
Yeah. Yeah, I want to get into Whitney later because that is so interesting too. But I agree. I mean, literally, if you look at even Justin Taylor's timeline, the amount of shit that happened in season 4 is insane. Right? So it begins with they're broken up. Then Taylor attempts to date outside. Mm-hmm. She meets up with this guy in Los Angeles. Oh, yeah. I mean, oh, my God. There's so many things that happen. When they're in Los Angeles, they invite, like, she's trying to move on with someone else, sort of. But I think the season begins really with, like, Dancing with the Stars, and they're in LA, and they're all staying in a house together. And then one of the dads, I think it's Jordan, invites Dakota to come and stay with them in this house in LA. So obviously when that happens, Taylor and him hook up. Taylor also discovers that when they went to, Vanderpump, whatever,
Villa.
Yes. He hooked up with someone and she's devastated. I mean, it's really hard too because Taylor keeps getting mad at him for like also hooking up with other girls. And to be fair, he's picking people I think that she knows will like piss her off. And the women are not like, one of them is like her friend, or a few of them are, I think. Oh, yes. And it's like, maybe this was season 3. In season 3, he hooked up with someone who was like her family friend.
Yeah.
And then they like cut off that relationship. Then she reconnects with Jenna, who is the original person that he cheated with her on. She's given this offer of the Bachelorette, even though she is, concerned about her mental state. Despite all of that, she then, that's when she has sex with him in Los Angeles. Then she says that she also was ovulating and potentially, or that she doesn't believe in birth control and they were worried about that. Then also she decides, then her relationship with her mom is really struggling. And then they decide she talks to like a genealogist who she's gonna figure out her family trajectory and who her dad is. She finds out her biological dad is dead. She goes to Colorado. She reconnects with her dad's friend because she finds out she has half siblings who don't want to be on camera. And then her and her mom see a family specialist, quote unquote, who I don't think is even a therapist or anything to try to heal their relationship. Her mom says, maybe I should have given you up for adoption because you would have had a better life because I was only 17. They're trying to get her ready for the Bachelorette still. Then, she finds out that he's hooking up with Shania. She loses her mind. She's mad at all the girls for not telling her. Then she apologizes. She gets over that. And then she's supposed to be going to the Bachelorette. And Dakota comes over to say goodbye. Obviously, they hook up. Then she claims she's not going to the Bachelorette. And everyone has to rally her to get her out of bed and get her to go. And then the season ends with the cliffhanger basically of her being like, I was ovulating. Maybe I'm pregnant. Uh-oh. And then also him being like, save a rose for me. That's just one person. The amount of stuff that happened is insane. It is so clear when you watch the season how unwell she is on so many levels. If you read articles that are her quoting her before she even goes on The Bachelorette, she's talking about how unwell she is. I know that it's all about ratings and stuff, but this just feels like such a new level of what, it's not even fair to the contestants of what the F is this.
Can we all just take a moment to remember that Taylor Frankie Paul follows me?
Get her on the podcast. She should be taking a mental health break for a very long time.
She should be. I just double checked that. That whole breakdown of just Taylor's storyline validates my feelings that this is not reality TV. This has so far surpassed what standard reality TV is. I can't even think of a Housewives storyline that rivals the level of traumatic self-disclosure that has occurred in the 4 seasons of this show for all of these women.
And for season 4, what all of that I just said is a few months.
Yeah, that's in a few months.
And we know because they're counting down to the Bachelorette every week.
Right. And I said this in Kate's podcast. These women get to do whatever they want. Right? It is up to them if they have decided this is how they would like to go about this show and the things that they would like to talk about and the things that they would like to portray. I just, from a professional lens, I can't trust when your behaviors are so dysregulated and volatile and reactive. I can't trust that you are, in fact, in a cogent, rational headspace to say clearly and concisely with conviction, I want this on national television in perpetuity for everybody to see and watch for the rest of my life.
No, it's like a child. That's how it feels like.
Yes, it is.
And I think the other really disgusting thing that you see through season 4 is the way that, I'm really interested in your thoughts about this, Sam, because as I was watching it, I was just they treat Taylor a bit like a child star, the mom and the sister treat, and her aunt are sort of her handlers. Mm-hmm. Even the women around them kind of treat her Taylor, the more famous Taylor gets, the better it is for all of us. We need to make sure. It just felt like the way they were pushing her on The Bachelorette, it felt like raising a cow for slaughter.
Yes.
It was just we got to get her ready. We got to get her ready. We got to make sure she goes. We got to make sure she goes. The toxicity also of everyone, whether they truly think this or whether they've convinced themselves they think this, of being if we can just get her on The Bachelorette, this will break the cycle and she will move on from Dakota.
Yep.
What?
I know.
How do you, why, and I think it might be a bit of both, because you can talk to this more of just, I think the level of a man will save you.
Yep.
Once you find a new man, you won't need Dakota anymore. You will break free from this. Mm-hmm. Is so ingrained. And there is abuse at every level of this story. If the top level is obviously the church, the way she was mm-hmm. raised. Mm-hmm. Her mom got the cycles of young women getting pregnant, being in abusive relationships, whether they're married or not, having kids young, then the daughters carrying it on is so intense. And I want to get into that. But high level, the way that they're just she's unwell, the Bachelorette is going to cure her. And if she just gets away, like they're acting like she's going on a rehab show.
Literally.
And if we can just get her on the plane to get her to rehab, she'll be okay. But instead, it's The Bachelorette, which is like one of the most stressful, emotionally taxing things that you can do.
That they've literally debated having therapists on to coach the Bachelor or the Bachelorette through.
Everyone loses their mind.
Because it's not normal. It's not normal.
No.
And it's not possible to actually find love.
Right. And you only spend like 10 hours with them, 20 hours with them total.
Yes.
The intoxication of everyone vying for you is, everyone loves that. It is love bombing on a different level. And then the men or the women are convinced that they feel this way is real. And it's just like, no, you want to win whether you're conscious of that or not.
Right. Here's where it gets like really dicey. I actually think Taylor's family, in their mind, think they are doing something good for her. Mm-hmm. I think they think like, no, she just needs to meet somebody else. She just needs to meet somebody else. If she meets somebody else that she falls in love with, she'll never talk to Dakota again, and we'll all be able to move on and we can put this to bed. This is and any Mormons who are listening to this, and I'm talking to the people that are active Mormons, y'all are going to bristle at what I'm about to say. And I'm okay with that.
Listening.
They're probably not. But in case you are, my issue with the Mormon church, and this is in stuff that I have seen in my own family, not my immediate family, but in many different extended family situations across generations, I have seen this. Mormons are not interested in getting to the root of a problem. Mm-hmm. Because if they dig to the root of the problem, they are going to see that it is the institution that they have tied themselves to that is dictating their poor decision making.
Also, aren't they raised, right? I mean, you can correct me. We have this joke that I pretend to be an expert in Mormonism through Sam, not really.
You are.
But also, right, if you're trained to not ever look at anything that questions your religion, that's going to extend to other areas where you're not going to want to look at anything that makes you question your life.
And also, going back to what you said of, she just needs a man will save you. I would argue what they're saying is like a family will save you. Mm. You just need a husband, a house for your kids, and you'll be fine. And all of this will be rectified because then you will be within the bounds of marriage, which are holy and righteous and celestial. And if you get in that dynamic, all will be well.
But it's so funny because Taylor was in that. Like, that's what's really funny to me. And if you look at her story of her first marriage, which I dug into.
Yeah.
Like, she was 22 when she got married. She either was pregnant very early in the marriage. I didn't break it down exactly. Or she got pregnant and then they got married. But they were in an unhealthy on-again, off-again relationship too. So it's just like, great. She was in an unhealthy relationship and she did get married and they had kids and that didn't work out either. Like, that's what I think is insane, is to watch the obsession with getting married as a solution, and then still people are getting divorced and being like, but it's still the solution. And her mom did. And I clocked this through season 4, how many times the women said, my husband saved me. Macy said that. And Taylor's mom said that explicitly. And it's just like, yeah, this idea that a man, a family is going to save you, even when you have tons of evidence that that's not true because you've been divorced, is crazy to me.
I think deep down, she desperately wanted the family. She wanted that. She was raised in the culture that encouraged that, pushed that, told you that that was the ultimate highest thing that you could do as a woman, is to enter into that. And it's why so many women do it so young, because it's what we're told we need to do. It's the most important thing that we could ever do. Nothing else in your life matters outside of what you will do in the home. Truly. You are told that you can have a job and a career, great, but nothing will supersede what you do in your house. And I think the problem is when you have someone who is emotionally volatile and traumatized at a baseline, it is not possible for you to sustain a healthy connection because you don't know what a healthy connection actually feels like or looks like. So you choose people that give you reactive, intense, love-bombing love that feels like it soothes all of those insecurities in you, but it's not sustainable. And you convince yourself that maybe a baby will make him love me more. Mm-hmm. So you go and you have a baby. And then that doesn't work. And so then you decide you have another baby. And then you realize you don't actually like this person. So you blow it up. And then you're like, well, no, I'm going to go find the person that actually will make me feel this way again for real. And then you find somebody. But the problem is you haven't healed the reason why you entered into this in the first place. So you go and then find somebody like Dakota, who's even worse. And then you have a baby with Dakota because you think having that baby is going to heal something and will tame something in him and make him love you and commit to you.
Or you just don't believe in birth control because you've been brainwashed to not believe in birth control.
Correct.
So you have lots of babies with different people because obviously you're having sex outside of marriage because you're a human with sexual needs. Watching them laugh about how literally Taylor's little like monologue about how against birth control she is could have been out of like Evie magazine. The way she was just like, I just don't trust hormones in my body and I'm just really particular and I'm sensitive. And then all the girls are joking about how they also like, yeah, condoms just don't feel good. I'm just like, you are all brainwashed.
They're all brainwashed. And I think it's the tragedy of it. My heart really breaks for Taylor. And I think she has been taken advantage of by a lot of people in her life. And I think she's been manipulated and belittled by a lot of people in her life. And I'm not saying she's dumb. I'm not saying she's not capable. I think this is a kid who didn't stand a chance. And nobody has stepped in to offer her legitimate support and guidance in how to find a life that actually feels fulfilling to her. And I would drag ABC into this. In what orbit did you think a bachelorette who is tied up in her 2 baby daddies, she has 3 kids with 2 different men, she's a reality TV show star at a baseline, she is reactive.
She's still on probation. She had this domestic violence charge for years. How did you think this is someone that is any ounce ready to actually pick someone to even pretend that we're going to have a long-term relationship with? They didn't, because they don't care.
What this has done for me, I already found the Bachelorette franchise like kind of dead. Years ago, I stopped watching it. I'm not interested in it. But for me, this was like the metal stake in the heart of thinking the Bachelorette is anything other than a reality TV show itself. It is not about finding love. You cannot find love. That's why nobody is together.
No, the only people that stay together are the people that build a relationship off screen. And they just used it as a dating.
Yes.
As a dating show, basically, at this point.
I just think it's so silly. I think they were so unfair to ask her to be the Bachelorette. And to me, it was nothing more than a ratings poll. All right, everybody, gather around because Mother's Day is coming up and I have the plan for how you are going to spoil your mom, a mom that is important to you, a mom of your friend, basically any mom that you would like. I'm going to give you the plan, okay? You are going to go to Cozy Earth and you are going to get her literally anything. But ideally, the combo that I've come up with for my mom is we are going to do robes, slippers, sheets, and a blanket, okay? I am going to wrap my mom in the softest, coziest pajamas and sheets and robes and slippers that I have ever personally tried in my life. The reason I'm putting this package together like this is because I think it is so special for the women in our life who work so hard and give so much and rarely think of themselves, and they need to be thinking of themselves more, to give them this gift, whatever you end up getting them, right? To let them know that they need a moment to themselves. And they need a moment to rest and chill, and to do that in some of the most comfortable sheets, pajamas, blankets, robes, and slippers I have literally ever used in my life. So with that said, I also want to let you know, you get a 100-night sleep trial with any of the products. So you can try it for 100 nights and decide at any point in there that you don't like it and send it back. But also, if you do decide you like it, these products are covered with a 10-year warranty. You get 10 years of use out of these products. Your mom will thank you for this cost-saving measure gift, okay? So with all that said, I have a special gift for you. If you use code NUANCE at checkout, you get 20% off. That's code NUANCE, NUANCE, because home starts with mom. Can't wait to hear what you guys think.
I also don't understand how, right? They knew that season 4 was going to be taped. The whole lead up to this was going to be taped. And again, I think it shows that they don't care. But like, I can't imagine the men, right? If she would have stayed with someone, which like, spoiler alert, she apparently, based on the internet, like did pick someone, did get engaged, and then very shortly after
broke it off.
Broke it off and hooked up with Dakota again, because no shit. But I can't imagine that the men wouldn't feel some sort of way watching how unwell someone is leading up to this. Like, imagine if she did find someone and they were like in it for the right reasons, and then you saw all of this, like you would leave probably.
Yeah, like why? But I guess why would someone who's stable themselves want to willingly take on that level of instability?
That's true.
And I'm not even talking about like someone having kids. Like I don't care, be a step parent. That's not what we're talking about. What I'm talking about is like her in the present moment documented instability. Who are these guys that are like, that's my wife? Like,
I agree.
It doesn't make sense to me.
I am fascinated that, we'll probably never see the footage, but I am fascinated to hear what these like monologues of the guys are that are like, you know how they like hype up the Bachelorette as being like beautiful and amazing and secure and blah. I'm just like, I wonder what they said.
Yeah, like what was their reasoning for what they're just like, I feel ready to... Do you know what it kind of feels like? It feels like a conservative man's dream.
She's broken and I'm going to come in and big dick energy save her.
Yeah, I'm going to fix her and I'm going to tame her and I'm going to show her how to calm down.
Yeah. That's a good point.
That's kind of how it feels to me. And I feel like that would have been the type of guy that would want to take that on.
Unless they were just pretending the whole time for their own fame.
Exactly. And I think I saw a meme that was like, let's all have a moment of silence for the like 20 guys that thought they were going to be able to become fitness influencers after this.
So good.
It's so good. I don't know. I still haven't finished season 4. Kate was telling me, she's like, you need to just fast forward to episode 10. And I was like, I gave you like the entire summary of it. You did. I know. I'm like, I don't think I need to, but and I'm really trying to, in my head, the last couple of days, challenge myself of like, why is it so hard for you to like engage with this stuff? And I just think, and obviously like I watched season 1, I watched season 2, I've watched the bulk of season 3. I know all the highlights. I watched the first 2 episodes of season 4. So I'm not sitting here like pontificating from a place of like having never engaged with this.
Yeah, no.
But I think with the direction season 3 went, and then I think seeing what the highlights were going to be for season 4, it just brought it out to me that I'm like, this is not just like casual pop culture fodder. Mm-hmm. Like this is not, same thing with like Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, right? The end of season 3 where there's that huge blow up of like receipts, timeline, proof, right? Like that to me, that's like grown women knowing exactly what they're doing.
Oh yes.
It's a situational moment that is more about a dynamic between 2 people than it is anything else, right? Which I think is why the Housewives franchises don't bug me that much.
There just isn't the same. I mean, a Real Housewives expert can definitely drop their different opinion. And I'm not an expert. I've watched Beverly Hills and I really love Salt Lake City. And I've watched a couple others. But the difference is really age. Like the youngest housewife, I think, is probably 30.
Yes.
when this season started, I think Michaela, because Michaela's 25 right now. So she was like 22
when this started.
Like
Layla was 20.
They are so young.
They're so young.
And that just feels so different. Also, like the people who are on Real Housewives, they all have money, but beyond money, they are like in and around sort of like fame circles. So they have an understanding of like what they're getting into a bit more. Where, again, these girls are just like vulnerable young kids that are convinced that they just have they're so inexperienced on every level, not just being young, but in the industry. They aren't super well off, so they're a lot more desperate for money also.
That's been my whole thing from the beginning of this, is I feel like with a Housewives franchise, I don't care which franchise it is. You can go all the way out to like Ladies of London, right? Like Real Housewives of Dubai. Like I don't care what the franchise is. There is something so uniquely different to me about a woman who's more likely than not 40s, 50s. Most of them have had established careers. Most of them have already been through a divorce. They talk about the personal work that they've already done and they've raised kids and right. Like there is something so different to me about a woman in that stage of her life signing up for something with her whole chest, knowing this is a different entrepreneurial avenue. This is about brand building. This is about exposure, right? There's a much more cogent decision-making process to me when I see that someone has signed up for the Housewives franchise or is going to be in a Housewives franchise. This felt like it was a group of women who, some of them were 5 to 7 years out from having a developed frontal lobe, in deeply traumatizing circumstances, actively in traumatic, manipulative marriages. And we've now watched these women come to a realization about their situations in real time. And it feels so predatory to me. It just feels predatory. I can't shake it.
Even with alcohol and stuff.
Yes.
Too, it's like these women who are on Real Housewives have been drinking for a long time.
Yes.
Like, I'm not saying you should have to drink to be a Real Housewife, but a lot of season 1 is them like drinking for the first time and like experimenting, and it feels like you're watching a high school show.
Well, and because someone brought up to me, they're like, well, what about, because TLC would do those shows about like the Amish kids that would like go off and like do that year. And I'm like, but here's the thing. That didn't have a reality TV spin. That was like a documentary.
Was it? I've never watched that.
Yeah. It was like 10ish years ago, I think they had a couple seasons where it was like kids in the Amish community who could go out for a year.
Yeah.
And there was a seriousness to it that I felt like actually respected their process. And the producers were asking them more about like, why are you wanting to do this? Like, what is your, what are you thinking? How are you feeling about these experiences, right? It was much more grounded and reflective. And of course, there was like, there had to be little controversial moments here and there. But that is my biggest problem with this, is like, we are not treating the subject matter of this show how it should be treated. It's such a tragedy. And then even like all last week with all of the stuff that was happening with like Taylor and Dakota and the Bachelorette, then the lore drops that Jordan filed for divorce from Jesse, and finding out that like Jesse had told Jordan that it was done, and so he tried to like get around her so that he could file first. And I'm just like, same thing. And then the week before, it had been announced that Michaela was separated from her husband.
Yeah, can we get into Michaela?
Yes.
It is
yes, we can.
Disturbing.
It's so disturbing.
So disturbing.
Amanda, I clocked this in the very first episode you and I recorded.
I remember.
I clocked this. That this was a girl that was groomed by a man that was 5 years older than her when she was a teenager. She got pregnant, and her family forced her into a marriage in order to justify to their community that they had done things right. It happened to my aunt and uncle. They got pregnant out of wedlock, and it was the immediate question of like, when are you getting married? There wasn't even a debate. There wasn't even a conversation of what do you guys want? What should we do? What shouldn't we do? Let's look at our options. No, they got married. And that is a story that I have heard countless times within the Mormon community. If you get pregnant, you get married. There was a girl that it happened to in my ward growing up. It just, that is what happened to Michaela. And she was forced to get married to her abuser. And of course, she didn't know how to have sex with him.
Well, can we also, so yeah, literally, she said, if you like clock some of what she's talked about with the abuse, she said that the abuse stopped when she was 15 years old. So I don't know how much it was going on, start, stop. I don't know. It seemed, she said this season that it started, I think, at age 6. Like, I don't know the timeline of that. But think about that. She was abused until age 15.
Then meets this guy at 16.
Then meets Jace. And then immediately is pregnant and is married at 16 years old. That is so disturbing. Like, she was groomed for that whole thing. She probably, like, we've talked a lot on this podcast about, like, right, how hypersexuality can be a trauma response sometimes in addition to not wanting sex. Like, the fact that she was having that, and then, of course, to me, she's going to have sex with someone, like, after she's been groomed and having sex with other people and things like that. And then, yeah, she has 4 kids with him. He is upset that their intimacy isn't good. Meanwhile, she is freshly postpartum. Like, he's talking to all of these men being like, it's so hard for me, guys. You don't understand. And I'm like, she's 10 weeks postpartum as he's talking about some of this. Like, are you kidding me? Women, and I say this as someone who had extremely painful sex for a very long time postpartum. Like, there are literal things that happen that make sex difficult for women on a variety of levels, trauma or not. It's disgusting. The entitlement to sex was disgusting.
But that's I find that's men in Christian religions. They do feel that is what they are owed. I mean, I remember hearing stories about bishops that would say to women, like Mormon bishops, that would advise, if a woman came to them and said, like, I'm having a hard time in my marriage or we're not connecting, the advice is, well, are you having sex? That was the advice. And that's the thing, like, if any Mormons hear this, they're going to come at me and be like, that's not my religion. Knock it off. It is. And I know you've heard those stories as much as I've heard those stories. Okay? So let's all just kind of meet in the same ground and be honest about the cultural implications of sexual repression. The cultural implications of willful, encouraged sexual repression. And it's the same reason why, in my mind, there is such a porn usage problem within the church. Because you have women that are told their whole lives they're a piece of chewed up gum piece of shit if they do have sex outside of marriage, or if they are sexually motivated or driven, whatever, if they have a sex drive.
Have a thought.
Have a thought. You have men that are promised that if they stay pure, they'll be able to get into a marriage where they can just be fucking sex animals all the time. So then you merge these two worlds together. This guy has been allowed to talk about it and think about it and explore it. So in his mind, he already knows what he wants to do, but he has no foggy clue how the woman's body works. This woman is terrified. She's never even seen a penis before. And this thing's coming at her. And she's like, whoa. And she shuts down. She doesn't know what to do. She doesn't want to explore because she doesn't understand how her body works. And it's not pleasurable for her. And so then this guy is left feeling completely confused. And why isn't this way? Why can't we do this? She's terrified. She doesn't know what to do. And he's going to go get it somewhere. And so he's going to go watch porn. Why this is so complicated for people to understand is beyond me. And I think that this whole Jason Michaela storyline is like the perfect scenario to show how problematic this is for both of them. Mm-hmm. Right? His inability to have empathy and compassion for her in understanding why that was a problem led to this. Never mind the fact that he was 21 years old trying to get with a 16-year-old. Let's sit in that. for a second. And she now has 4 kids with this dude before the age of 25. And that's why, like, when I was talking to Kate, I was like, this whole show is just a tragedy to me.
When I watched the episode behind the episode about the season 3 reunion, it is so disturbing because everything is just trauma. Like, they're all... And they all talk about it. And, like, good, I'm glad you're being honest. But they're all like, I'm a victim. I'm a survivor. And most of them are. And it's just insane. And then we're, like, comparing whose trauma is worse. And then, you know, like, Connor has trauma because he's been, like, you know, he was sexually abused as a child. And I do have my own thoughts about Demi and, you know, the Marciano situation and stuff like that. I do think the women had a right to call her out on like being obsessed with claiming that someone who she says like shoved her, you know, or, you know, when you see the text of how she was talking to him and, you know, and it was really painful to watch her sort of weaponize like accountability language of like, you cope how you cope and it's not my fault. And I, you know, whatever, maybe he did come on strong. She didn't know how to handle it. Like, I have empathy for that, but also the way that she was so mean to Jesse and attacking Jesse, the way that literally in the season opening of season 4, she mimes to Jesse across the room how was fucking Marciano, and she like does a gyrating thing with her hands on her pelvis. Like, it's gross. So I really was lost after that. But anyway, the point of me going down this little tangent is the trauma. It's not even, I think, clocked for them as a confessional or a vulnerable thing.
No.
Because they're just like ripped open and just like spewing their trauma everywhere. And I think that's the saddest thing that I was thinking about too, because it sort of reminded me of like working in a rehab and the delicate line you would have to walk between some people really wanted to overshare everything and they sort of thought that the oversharing was the solution.
Right.
And I get that on some level. Like, I think when you're a young therapist, you have to sort of check yourself to think that and remember that like admission or vulnerability isn't helpful if they don't have like the structural supports in place, and just like digging to dig at someone's trauma is not therapeutic if you, again, don't know how to close them up. They don't have the resources, things like that. And that's what I think was so sad, is just like watching them spew all over each other and claiming that it's healing and that they just like need to get it out. And I'm just like, no, again, what you said, Sam, that's so true, is like, I fear they're going to look back on this and be like, what the fuck did I do? Like, this is forever going to be out there.
I exposed the most intimate, vulnerable elements of myself in my life to the world. I don't care if we never hear about it. Like, truly. And I know every single one of them will have a moment where they will be like, ow. Like, that is just, I'm sorry, that is just the natural human condition. Anytime you are open, anytime you are vulnerable, it doesn't matter if you do it in the privacy of your own home between one person. You have in your mind, oh my God, what do they think?
Especially as you're getting divorced and you're trying to date again. People are going to know so much about you before dating now.
And that's why I just like, I have no pity for ABC, for Hulu. I think they have sold their corporate soul that already didn't exist to take advantage of these women and their stories. And they have laid them out in the most graphic and disrespectful ways. And I just have no... And again, I'm not trying to say that these women are like lambs to the slaughter, right? Like, I know they all have executive producer credits now, and I know they get to decide. But at the same time, you and I both know, like, when you are in the depths of trauma, unprocessed trauma, and then in the depths of processing trauma, you and I both know you're never making decisions that feel exactly aligned or authentic to the person you want to be. And it's just... I just find it tragic. I don't find it entertaining. I don't find it interesting. I find it devastating. And if that makes me like an old curmudgeonly lady, that's fine. But it's all the layers of this that I'm just like, what are we doing to these women? Like, what are we putting them through? And yeah, there's some that like, I don't know. I respect them in a lot of ways because I think they are like brilliant businesswomen in their own right and in building brands and like exposure and all of that. And none of this is to say I think any of this is their fault. I think it's systems and lack of awareness and lack of accountability at all levels.
Mm-hmm. Should we get into Jesse and Jordan? I despise Jordan.
Oh my God. I literally like raised my fist in the air on behalf of Jesse to be like, hell yeah, dude. File for divorce. Leave this woman alone.
The worst.
The worst. Timu Wolverine over there.
The level of just, and I think it's so, yeah, it's just, again, it's like him claiming he's healed and all of this stuff. And she said something really poignant in, I think, like the second to last episode where she said, you know, he's saying sort of the right things, but like simmering under the surface is sort of this like resentment and sort of disdain for her that was always there. And she was like, you're better at not saying it, but I kind of still feel it. I think she said something like that. He literally, I think the quote, I wrote it down, was, he said, yeah, well, a lot of my issues coordinate with you being selfish. Like, so much just like, I am mean to you because you're selfish. This woman is the most established, and she is one of the most mature ones on the show
100%.
Because she has a business and came in a little less blind. I think is a little less, I don't want to say desperate, but like her career isn't as tied to this as some of the other women. She doesn't need to be like she is good on her own, sort of. But like, I don't even know what Jordan does for a living. It doesn't seem like he does. Yeah. She has built this incredible business, this incredible life for them. He is mean and resentful of her. It's very clear it's very hard being married to him. It's hard, like she's afraid to get divorced from him. I understand why she had an emotional affair.
100%.
She also did very little. Like she literally kissed him.
Yeah, that's...
And the level of anger and entitlement to her is just... And the desperation of him, of anointing himself the leader of dad talk and them trying to make dad talk a thing. I just can't.
I cannot overstate how little I care about dad talk. I don't care. I don't care about your problems. I don't care about your lives. All of you are mooching off of these women in your life, and you are some of the most like milquetoast, boring dudes I've ever had to be exposed to in my life. None of you have done anything with your lives, and I'm supposed to be interested in you? No, absolutely not. I do not care. I do not care. And I think I agree with you with Jesse. I mean, I think in my mind the entire time she's been the leader of Mom Talk the whole time.
Yeah.
I think she is the one that is the most grounded and
mature and I
steady.
Don't like Demi at all, or Demi at all, but she also is older and is more mature than a lot of the other girls. The other thing that was really sad throughout the show, and especially season 4, but I think as they've gotten more money, their cosmetic procedures have gotten more intense. The casualness of getting procedures done is insane. The way that, because Taylor also got a new job in season 4. And the casualness of just like, yeah, you know, I had another baby, so I'm just going in to get them like retouched. And I think this is like the 3rd time she's done it. The casualness of plastic surgery is insane.
It's fascinating that they all commit to gender affirming care so young.
It's true.
They all do it.
What would you say the percentage is of girls that get boob jobs.
Oh, in Utah? Everyone.
Yeah.
Everyone. All the time. All the time. It's the mommy makeover. Like people would talk about that. Be like, oh, I'm going to have like I want to have my kids really close together and really fast. And then afterwards, I'll just do like a full mommy makeover.
No, literally every single one of them, I think except Whitney, has fake boobs.
It's so, I mean, the amount of plastic surgeons in Utah is like breathtaking.
Let me look into Jessie's. All right. So she's had 4 breast surgeries. The last time, this was in season 1, she got them downsized. And then, remember, she had a labiaplasty. Then she had a nostril procedure that made her nostrils less wide. And then she got an under eye skin pinch, takes the skin underneath and pinches it up. And then in December of 2025, she underwent facial fat grafting.
Yeah.
And the swelling she experienced, yeah, she said the healing process has messed with her. Yeah, she does look very different since she stopped filming, like since season 4, which I don't really follow her, so I didn't notice. But when you see these pictures of her at Wuthering Heights, she looks very different.
Yeah, she does.
I think it's so hard when you see plastic surgery and people's like solution to bad plastic surgery is to get more plastic surgery in. And it's just like, oh, no.
I think like anything, what I would love is if there was a little more exploration as to why. Mm-hmm. Like when you're in your 20s, what do you need to do?
A lot of them get breast implants when they're like 18.
Yes.
Yeah. Again, it's all, to me, it sounds like, right, hole in the soul sort of stuff of like, if I look better, I'll feel better. If I make enough money, if I am famous enough, if I have enough kids, if I have a big enough house, right? All of this like external stuff. And I'm interested in this question that I want to ask you, Sam. Obviously, like everyone in the world, or at least in America, the West, right, has a lot of this. And we're told, right, like we get stuck in when I'll be happy when this happens. And that is why plastic surgery and fame and all of this has become, you know, a problem that extends beyond just a certain culture. But I wonder, too, if the church and the way that Mormons are raised to really value external things, right? And I want to hear your take on this. I wonder if that makes it also worse because you're literally raised compared to like even I think other religions are a little less. I'm not religious, so a bunch of people can correct me if I'm wrong. But a lot of other religions do talk about like being a, you know, you need to feel good in yourself and you need to do what's right no matter what it looks like. And they don't explicitly talk about how you should look.
No, Mormons love optics.
Yeah.
They love optics. They love how something looks. They're not really interested in what something is. They're worried about how something looks. And if you look right, you get a lot of passes. It's the same thing with your family. If your family checks all the boxes, nobody pays attention to you. If anything, like if you all look right, if you dress right, if you do the right things, if everybody's doing the right things, you become like the most popular people on earth. Mm-hmm. Doesn't matter how like rotten it is underneath. You know, it's optics.
And doesn't the scripture also specifically say?
Well, so much of this I found when I was there and people that I knew is like, even the people that think they are rejecting it engage with it. Because there's still optics. There's still optics to, are you married? Did you have kids? Did your kid go on a mission? Is your kid getting married? Are you becoming a grandparent? Are you doing this? Did you do that? There's so much. Even if someone says like, I reject the physicality of the optics, right? Like I reject, I don't need to look a certain way. I don't need to, you know, dress a certain way, whatever. There are still optics in what a family looks like. And even me, who's deconstructed from it, I even still feel that pressure of like, my parents don't have a child that's married yet. My parents haven't become grandparents. And within our family, they're the only ones that don't have that yet. And I'm lucky in that my parents are like, we don't care, we're fine, like, we're proud of you, whatever. I still in my mind feel this like, well, I haven't given them that. Like, they haven't achieved that because of me. And that's something that I have to like really check within myself to make sure like, well, why am I wanting to do something? Am I wanting to do something because it's what I want to do, or because I feel like it's what I should do, or what will benefit somebody else? And so there is like, I don't care what any person who is in the Mormon church says to me. Optics matter. It matters that you got sealed in the temple. It matters that your child has a baby blessing. It matters that your child gets baptized at 8. And we all have the pretend rigmarole that this is something my 8-year-old chose to do. Right? Like the parties and the events and the this and the that. And my son became an Eagle Scout. Like there are inherent, generationally ingrained events and expectations that you feel you have done something incorrectly if you don't hit them. And it was the same thing as each passing year went by and I wasn't married. And everybody else around me was married or getting married. Or, you know, I would have people like, I remember there was a girl I worked at a residential treatment center. That was my first big like job in the industry. And I was like 22 at the time. And there was a girl who was 25 and she was like the supervisor. I couldn't stand her. She was such a bitch. And like, she would like weep about not being married. Like she would literally cry about not being married. And she like forced her way like into a relationship, and they were married 4 months later.
Yeah, it is so wild how it's just like how easy it is to be like, whether it's getting someone on The Bachelorette, whether it's getting someone married, whether it's getting someone to have kids, and this extends beyond the church, how much as a society we place like this is a magical thing that will just heal you.
Yeah, it'll just make it all better.
Yeah, I mean, I think to summarize, right, there's like abuse at every level. I think that it's so sad to watch. I think we both kind of agree that this show shouldn't
be on air.
Shouldn't go on, at least not in its current form. I think people need to regroup. I'm hoping that this break gives them a moment
to do that.
I mean, some of these girls are so freshly postpartum. Like 3 of them are like postpartum. Like, oh my God. The way they police each other was very disturbing to me too. There was a lot of policing of like, I came to this, you came to that, da 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 da. And I felt like that was so clearly just like a habit that they are used to being policed. So that now they're policing each other. Their husbands probably police them. And ABC knew what they were getting into. I mean, literally, you read this Vulture article. I read a Vulture article where the producers were talking about how she was so authentic. She could not lie. And I was just left with like, is that
good though?
Raw authenticity? Or is that just like no boundaries whatsoever? And someone who is like not cognizant of what they're doing is how I mean, she literally, in another article, I think they did one that was like in New York Magazine, where the title was like the messiest woman on television, which was promo for The Bachelorette. And in it, like, she talks about how close she was to like quitting reality TV and how she hasn't processed anything. And again, we were just like, this is a great idea. Let's take this woman and put her on The Bachelorette.
Everybody knows what my standing is. I think this needs to get off the air immediately. And I think Taylor and Dakota should never see each other ever again.
I know, but they have a kid.
Doesn't matter.
That's what's so
someone else
about it.
Someone else can navigate swapping. Like, okay. You should never see each other again on your own by yourselves ever.
I know, and that is the problem with the show too, right? Is like, as long as they're doing the show, they are going to be together, and they're going to both actually be subconsciously motivated to continue this toxic relationship, and no one's talking about that either. All right, everyone. Well, we hope you got something out of this. As always, we love you. We have a really great bonus episode that we just released last week on Substack. So you should check out nuanceneeded.substack.com.
Yeah, and as per usual, anything you can do to Rate, review, share, subscribe means the world to us because it helps us get the word out about the pod and let people know that we exist. So if you haven't done any of those things yet, if you could, that would be absolutely lovely.
All right, we'll see you next week.
Bye.